Do you have a critical moment that happened in your life that because it happened, the trajectory of your whole life changed? Everything changed in the way you think, what you do. Well, I've got one of those moments that I want to share with you that because it happened back in the late 90s, everything I do day to day is different. At the time, I was a pastor in Boston at a church that I'd started, and my friend invited me to go to hear this guy named Os Guinness from Guinness Beer speak on the topic of the call. Never heard of him, never heard of the book. Went to hear him talk. I think I got there late, sat in the front row, and he talked about this idea of God creating people and giving them a call to do work that he planned in advance for them to do, that there was no sacred work and secular work, but that people could really live into the call God gave them and do it. And they would come alive when they did it because it was really what they were created for. It brought them purpose. Well, I was flabbergasted. I never heard a talk on that. At the end, they had a question and answer time. I raised my hand and I said, Dr. Guinness, could you please help me understand if someone doesn't know what their call is, how can they know with enough certainty to be able to leave what they're doing and go to something else? Well, I was kind of asking for someone else in the room, and that was me, because I was at a time in my life where I wasn't sure what to do next. Well, how he answered was surprising. He said, that is not my expertise. Let me recommend a book called Finding a Job You Can Love by Ralph Mattson and Arthur Miller. Well, again, I was a little disappointed, but I wrote that book down. A couple weeks later, I went to get the book at a bookstore and had to order it because it wasn't in stock. And when I came back to my office, there was a voicemail from my friend Pam. The voicemail said, hey, Jeff, I'm wanting to invite you to have lunch with this guy in a couple weeks. He's giving a talk in Boston, and I really feel like you need to meet this guy, and I really want you to join us for lunch. Well, I called her back, and I first asked, are you paying or me? But then I asked, who's the guy? And she said, his name is Ralph Mattson. I about fell over. I said, Pam, did he write a book called Finding a Job You Could Love? And she said, yeah, that's him. Well, 2 weeks later, here I was having lunch with Ralph Mattson, and Ralph worked with me and helped me really understand why I wasn't thriving doing what I'm doing, and then how he could help me understand my energy and the way that I worked that could free me to do what I was made to do. Well, more than 25 years later, I've been now working with people doing that and coaching them on that very thing. And Ralph set me free in some simple sessions that I did with him. And now I get to spread that gift, and I've been able to teach other people how to do it as well and train them in how to coach in this way. A core moment that changed everything. And if you want to know more or want to know what that could look like for you, then get in touch. But what's your core moment? Do you have a moment that changed your trajectory, or are you still looking for it? Love to hear what your thoughts are.